And we're live. Welcome back, Jenny from the chopping block. Today I have the man, the myth, the legend, the love coach, the author, Sunny, and friend. I had to throw in
And
the friend
friend.
part.
Yeah.
But how freaking lucky am I to have a friend that is so dedicated to his craft and just spreading love and good vibrations out into the world. And Sunny, I have your book here, Awaken the
Yeah.
Love Within, which
Ooh.
I've dived into and absolutely love, and spoke to you about possibly doing a book digest within it because I'm finishing up in my women's group right now, Calling in the One by Catherine Woodward Thomas. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
But I've been doing that for over a year now, and it's been really incredible. So I just, before we dive into topics, and if there's anything you want to say regarding the whole process of this, what inspired you to get into this field and then now currently have this book come out? How has that process been for you?
Yeah, wonderful. And first of all, thank you for the beautiful welcome. And yes, most importantly, friend. And I remember really like a couple of years ago coming on here and coming on live on your show again and doing the podcast about relationships and love. And it's so good to be back in with you, just to also see your growth and also my own growth as we're growing together during this process. It's actually really funny because every time I see you on like Master Co's live and I saw you post about Soul, the movie, I always feel like you're my soul sister because we're so aligned, even though you're in the other part of the world. But there's so much alignment between how we are. I find that absolutely incredible. So thank you for having me on. And most importantly, let's go back to what you're saying. So this book, I'm going to be completely real with you. At the start, my coaches told me write a book for authority and to create a brand. And that was what I was first looking to do. However, I kept getting pulled away from it. It was like the universe, I wasn't destined to do it until a point came within myself and within my life where I was like, I need to give this book to give these like information to people, like people that can't work with me, people that are in a different place to where they're at financially. They can't work with me, but they can use all the strategies. So in this book, first of all, the strategies were used to help my relationship grow with my wife. And then it's been fine-tuned, worked on. And most importantly, now these strategies are actually been able to help my clients find deep, lasting love. That's what I'm all about. It's about building the foundation so that you can find that long love. Many of my clients have got married now. Many of them are in long-term relationships. So
Oh, like I
yeah,
said,
that was somebody that wants to jump on this live. Actually,
love is
he
calling.
just messaged saying, "When are you doing the live?" So I'm just going to
Aw.
share it right now.
I just tagged you.
I just
Um,
cool.
that is interesting that you say like just that alignment, and I want to dive into, I mean, the chapter that I really studied before this was just that energy frequency and what that could do, in attracting the love into your life. I think is important.
Yeah, well, that is actually something that blew my mind in all areas of life. And I had to get it into the book because this is a fundamental for creation of all parts of life. So, what I mean by that, more specifically, is looking at your level of vibration. Like you are in such an aura of love right now, and I can see that so beautifully. And I don't think just in your relationship, it carries out in different areas of life. And that's exactly it. When we have that vibration or that energy of love in any area of life, we get great results. I actually came up with a formula just to add on to that was EF times T equals R, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that formula is, it's like my Einstein moment. There it is. That's it. How the IP that is, right? It's like the Einstein moment because it's the energy that we put into any focused area
Mm-hmm.
times the time. And by times in time, I mean present time, not diluted time, equals the result you get. For example, if you're putting anger into the gym and then times by time you're putting many hours into it, you're going to get results because it's still got energy into it. However, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to get tiring, it's going to get frustrating, it's going to get annoying, and it's going to
Burnout.
be a burnout. It's going to be a force to do. But then when you put a loving energy, like I love working out, and that's the belief that you can have. You love working out, you love pushing yourself, you love your muscles growing. And then you put the time into it, not on your phone while you're in the gym, like present time, and you get extraordinary results. Because in that chart, I showed about Dr. David Hawkins' scale of vibration. And
Yeah, I
love
wanted
is
to ask you about that.
yeah, good. And love is at one of the highest vibrations at 540
Hmm.
vibrations, I guess, the
Hmm.
frequency of it, where like anger is at 150, 175. So you can
Hmm.
see that you're already doubling yourself. And that's why people that love what they do get amazing results.
Hmm.
It's because they put a higher energy into it. They put a better power rather than a force. So,
Yeah, such a beautiful topic. And I feel like within reading it, I was like, wow, like I'm progressing, I'm stepping into this. This is very present for me right now. It's always kind of been because like I try to find joy and fun in everything I do. And I
yeah.
think it definitely brings a different element to to life, just attracting love and light into everything. Um, what
100%.
inspired? So how did you format everything? I'm so curious. Like, how did you
Oh,
pick your chapters? Like, how did it all come together?
yeah. So that was quite a journey. So it took me about 6 months to create the whole thing. And it was on my vision board. And this is the power of a vision board, actually, is I planned it at the start of the year. Oh, oh yeah, you got a vision wall. You got the whole wall of vision there. I love that. And that's exactly it. I was carrying on with life and coaching and helping clients and married and everything else, working out, all these things that was taking over my time. I saw it on my vision board. And I was like, no, at the start of the year, I said I'm going to put it on there. I shall share with you my vision board. It's just,
Oh, cool.
yeah. And
Love it.
now I do need to update it soon. But at
We'll
the
do
start
it
of the
do
year,
it tonight into tomorrow because we have the full moon for those of you who are into that energy. Speaking of energy flowing in.
yes, let's talk about that in a moment because I
Yeah.
love the full moon energy. I find it
Mhm.
so incredible. Yeah, so then I saw it on there and I thought, this is what I said at the start of the year. I have to follow through with it. I started mapping it out chapter by chapter, looking at what's helped my clients the most. What is the patterns that are really helping them to have deep, lasting relationships? And then putting it down chapter to chapter and then helping people create that love and really step into that energy of love. Because a lot of my clients in the past, they were stepping into love or dating with the energy of maybe shame or pride.
Mhm.
And that creates more issues. It creates more problems within a relationship.
Absolutely. So if you don't mind us maybe diving into the chapter 6 that we're going to talk about today. I didn't know if you, for time purposes, I don't know if you wanted to talk about chapter 7 as well, but I think chapter 6 was the topic that we wanted to kind of dive in from the book. And I just want to say hi to Tommy and Anil and Ashley and Anthony for watching. There's a bunch of other people watching. Don't hesitate to ask any questions in the
Yeah.
chat. We're here for you first and foremost. And I did have a fantastic Valentine's Day. Thank you so much.
We all saw them roses, and roses were beautiful, right?
They're everywhere. No, I'm not trying to, but I had so many. I had to put them in 3 vases.
That's
I
wonderful.
love it. I love
And
them.
that actually just shows exactly what you were saying earlier. Actually, it's like that eminence of the energy of love. And as you are in that vibration of love, of emanating love out, it's very easy to attract that love back in. And
Mm.
he seems like an amazing guy, an incredible guy. And when I'm in the US, I would love to go out for food with you all, me and my
Be
wife.
amazing.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I think one of the key highlights for me, right, in this chapter is first about we have the ability to change the energy that we have. And I really want to just simplify Dr. Joe Dispenza in quantum physics that says that 99.99% of our cells are empty. And the reason why I want to simplify that was because what it's filled with is information and energy.
Mhm.
So that's the information we give ourselves and the energy that we give ourselves. So for many people, they could think like the past equals the future. I really wanted to say like our cells are empty. which means whatever information you want to feed it right now can change your whole view of the world and your whole life and what you attract. I did go a little bit quantum physics in this, and like atoms attract atom, which is also the law of attraction. They always say that like attracts like, and quantum science has actually matched that mirror to mirror. It was funny actually. I was at a when I was meeting my wife's family for the first time. My mum came as well. My mum was in a bad mood, and as she came over, she was spending time there, but she went over to one of the family members that was grumpy automatically without knowing, but they just came together. And they had a
Wow.
whole conversation about talking about other people and moaning and groaning. Yeah.
Low vibration.
Exactly, right? Exactly. And naturally, they just came together. And I was just observing because it was a bit of a weird day for me with the introduction of families. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, isn't that so fascinating how you just come together in a meeting of like 15 people? You just go and find somebody that's at a similar vibration and feeling to you. And this actually happens all the time. This is how we form communities like football or soccer or anything else, because we come together. Like Tony Robbins is that community of people that want more. And this is how we fall together. And this is just our bodies and atoms that naturally come together. So when we're looking for love or wanting a deeper relationship, if we're vibrating at the level of shame, and shame could be like your family always passed on guilt to you and annoyance, and like always said it was your fault and blamed you for stuff, and you took it on from a young age. Then when you're looking for a relationship, you might just look for somebody a little bit higher than you, or you're also going to hang around with people at a similar level. This is one of the most dangerous things, I believe, because that's when you can find a narcissistic relationship. This is how you can get trapped with a controller because you don't know better, because you're already blaming yourself and giving yourself so much hurt that when someone else treats you bad, you automatically attract it. And you think it's acceptable. So I don't know if I went in that much depth in the book because I was like cautious of my wording and everything. But that is the key fundamentals to raising your vibration and why it's so important for you to be in one of the creative vibrations, which is everything from coverage.
Flow. Flow and abundance, right?
Love and abundance.
Do you know, I just want to say, because it was beautiful for me after, these last 3 years. When was the last time we went live together? I mean, we stay in contact, but it was right during COVID.
Yeah, so about 2 years now, right? So.
Yeah. So I remember like going on a workshop you had a little bit after that, and it was a ton of people. And, a lot of times I like to look for the definition of things and just to see like fear is, love is, faith is. And one of the things that I learned from you and I stick with, and it's just rings so true to me, is that love is courage.
Yes.
And that came up so many times reading this chapter as just a beautiful, not only did it show me my progress within that, because I was definitely at a different place when I was present with you at that workshop, but now just to see like where I'm at now and just to have that courage. And if you could just talk on that, maybe just being within that. I feel like there's another word that came to mind for me. It was tenacity. And having courage. And I had a customer come in yesterday and she's like, tenacity. And she's been telling me that was my word for like years. And it's like standing in that courage during sometimes maybe traumatic times or troubling or challenging times, to keep that courage and how that could serve you within the love space.
Wow. That's so amazing. I love that word as well, actually. Tenacity. And it takes me a little bit deeper into what I believe is so powerful within relationships when looking at it from the lens of courage, is sitting in the deep of it. Jen, it's like saying, like, if us two were first to just get together, I'd say, like, look, the reason why I've not been in good relationships in the past because I was self-sabotaging. I had to work on myself. I had to dive deep into who I was and become more of me. And that is the courage to take accountability for the creation of the past relationships as well, the like sabotaging factors that came into that. And then being able to actually sit in the midst of it, that is courage. So if the relationship wasn't working out between us, I could be like, Jen, what's going on? I feel like there's disconnect. And then being comfortable enough in the uncomfortability of the relationship to be like, why is the relationship not working? And for you to say, look, Sunny, something's going on in my life or blah, blah, blah. And then in that moment, we can understand each other. But it takes that step of courage, that tenacity to be in that moment and to speak your truth about how you're feeling, as opposed to blaming or like just on the opposite end of that, we have blame and fear. And then fear leads to either a self-projection of blame or a projection outwards of blame. And when we're doing that, we're creating a lot of issues within the relationship rather than stepping into that courage of just saying, like, look, I love you, but something's up. What's going on? Right?
I've gotten really good at that. That was one of my things, I think, of growth that I've stepped into, is just addressing things right away in a loving way. And I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you, as a coach, like, where's the line drawn when it's either self-blame, or for me in this past year has been just taking full responsibility. Even when I'm triggered or something's coming up from my past, or just like me taking first and foremost that responsibility. And I don't think it's coming from a blaming myself. It's just an understanding of where it's coming from. Do you have any
So
advice
beautiful.
on that? Yeah.
Yeah, really beautifully. I'm glad that you explained it like that. I was actually very similar to that as well. I was taking on too much. And the way that I had to draw the line was when I was really recognizing who started it, or like, where's it stemmed from? Because I was taking on too much accountability for even life in general, work and other areas. I was taking on too accountability. And when I was holding on to everything myself and saying, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to sort it, I'm going to do it, I was actually limiting the other people's growth. More specifically, it actually happened with a close family member, my brother. And in that relationship, I would always take responsibility as a younger brother. I'd always be like, look, I'm going to say sorry. I'm going to step in here. I'm going to do this. But over the last 12 months, or maybe even a little bit longer now, 15 months, I really had to go, look, I want it for your growth. So I had to be like, look, this is your issue that you caused. I'm here for you. I love you. But when you're ready to talk to me properly, then let's communicate. And then we went at about 10 months without really speaking. And for us, we spent so much time together. We're so connected. But a part of that was me saying, look, you have to take accountability now for your life. And the reason why I really wanted to do it was for his growth as well as my own growth.
Boundaries. Yeah. Healthy boundary.
That's exactly it, right? That's a boundary. Yeah. It's taking that accountability. So that's what I would encourage, like just saying, look, I feel like I've not done anything wrong in this case, but if I have, please voice it to me. However, I'm a bit annoyed that you're causing all this resistance, pushing away. I just want you to deal with it and then come back to me when you're ready. And that creates so much love for the relationship and appreciation for the relationship.
And I love that you brought, like, we're here to talk about, relationships, and it's not only loving relationships with a spouse, but within friendships, within family members, within ourselves, right? And I love how Tommy's even bringing it to the point of with his patients,
Yes.
and his attitude doing hospice. And what a beautiful service, like learning. I mean, even when I was touring the nursing homes, I could just see, when you're faced with the stages of death with others, it teaches you how important enjoying life is, and to make a difference. That's gorgeous, Tommy. I didn't even know you did that.
That's incredible. Yeah. Especially during them last stages of death. It's such a beautiful blessing to be able to give them love and to connect with them in them stages where they're about to transcend or to go to a different place. I would highly recommend a book called Letting Go. Actually, no, Your Soul's Plan by Robert Swartz. And the reason why I recommend that there for you, Tommy, is because it gave me so much great perspective on death and life that it was really helpful, especially in times of need. And it may help you in a moment, or you may be able to share some wisdom with some other people. But yeah, I'm so glad, and we honor and respect you, brother. That's incredible.
Absolutely. I wanted to say, this book, it talks about unconditional love and fear and how that takes place. And I just heard something today about there's 50 different flavors of fear. Have you heard
Tell
about
me
that?
more. No, tell me more about that.
I
That
haven't even like
sounds like
dived
ice cream.
completely into it, but it's like, how many of those flavors can you check in with?
Yeah.
And just like, even with the last challenge within the Tony groups, just I think fear was like something that I had a breakthrough with personally. So it's perfect that it's coming up in this chapter within love.
Well,
And how
when I
it
was,
could be a catalyst also into
yeah,
transformation.
and most people are unaware that there is fear within life, right? And you ask somebody what you're scared of, they're going to say the most extreme thing. I'm scared of dying from a shark, or I'm scared of skydiving. Okay, yeah, cool. How much fear is in your life? No, I don't have fear. But in actual fact, we're governed by so much fear, but it's masked by layers. So what I mean by that more specifically is, like, we don't know it's fear, but how we act afterwards is a fear. Like when we're controlling partners, that is fear. When we're putting expectations on other people, I want you to be a certain way, I need you to be that way. That's actual fear. Fear that they might not accept us. Right. And this is why we're pushing it across onto them. Another way of fear is, the insecurity, and I guess it leads into control of like cheating and wanting all that information about where are you, where you're hanging around with, all that kind of thing. That's all fear. And most importantly, one of the biggest ones for fear that people do not recognize is closing off.
Mm.
Like, when you close off, like, and I don't know if you've done any shadow work, or have you looked
Yeah,
at?
well, it's this, yeah, shadow work and even the inner child work. Like, I just wanted to, it
Yeah.
reminded me of how to do the work, and just like how you have the different places where you could kind of reflect. And I love books that are interactive in that way. So I love that you have that style. It's incredible. But if you want
Oh,
to
thank you.
talk more on shadow work and how that applies.
Well, yeah. So shadow work is just a great way to understand what we do when we are in fear and who we become. Like for me personally, I would love to know from you as well. More and more in the past, when I used to get hit by fear, I used to hide away. I would get into like more of a passive shadow side. So I would like step into my king. I'd be strong. I'd be loving. But then when that fear kicked in, I would just want to like just hide away and relax and get off my phone, get off social media, stop everything except my clients. And then the more and more aware of it I'm becoming, the more I can shine the light on it, which helps me to see it. And I think this is a fundamental thing that happens in relationships that are ruining it. Anyone that's watching, have you ever been in a relationship where you're getting on with the person so much, or you're just talking to the person, you're connecting, and then next minute they go quiet, they go a little bit controlling? Has that happened ever? And if it has, it's normally because of their shadow side. Like they're showing you the better side of them, but then they're hit by a bit of fear, like vulnerability, like, oh, I actually start to like this girl, or I like this guy. Now what do I do? And then they cower away. And it's just understanding it and shining the light on when we do that, how can we stop that? And you said that happened to you. So
Yeah, I think I could relate to the like hiding back and like putting up a wall sometimes. But I've realized within like working through some stuff that sometimes I would get really frustrated and just get like hyper. Like it would create this like anger, which I've been working a lot through.
okay.
Just catching thoughts that maybe have triggered me from past things,
Mhm.
and not getting caught up in the thought that it could be the worst case scenario or that low vibrational just it's pure fear, and it's
Pure
not.
fear.
It's false evidence, you know.
Yes.
And I've made strides in that.
So
Catching
how
it
do
in
you
its
handle
tracks.
that now? What's one of the things that you do to deal with that in this moment in life?
I think currently I just breathe through it a lot of times.
Okay.
And then I make it sound ridiculous in my own mind. Like, you know how Tony does in Leadership Academy? He'll be like, I am whatever you think
Oh
you are, but
yes, yes.
you do it in like a funny voice.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to think what else. I was going to ask you different tips and tools to get out of those low vibrational thoughts or.
Yeah, because fear is actually something that dawns onto us a
Oh,
lot.
I remember
Go
one
on.
other
Go
thing.
on, tell me.
Just being present has been huge. Not thinking about the past, not thinking about what could potentially happen in the future,
Yeah.
being completely present in the moment and just trusting that whatever happens, it's going to lead me to a good place. You know, what if it turns out better than I thought? Or even if it is terrible, okay, so what?
Good. And that's
Yeah.
beautiful, right? That's absolutely beautiful because when you do let go of that fear, that negative thought that comes up to it, it's that other way of choosing faith, that faith
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to be guided by the universe or something greater is going to happen. And we've all had times like that, and I'm sure you have, and I have as well. So many times in my life, I remember the first time I was about to leave this corporate job in corporate finance, and I had so much fear about leaving because the actual organization embodied fear onto people. The management and the structures were all about fear and targets and all these different things. The first time I was about to leave, the manager was like, Sonny, you're never going to get a job as good as this. And I thought, maybe this is just working life. This is how life is. And I went to see a friend, and this must have been like a guided spiritual friend, and it is such a good friend. And he looked at me and said, Sonny, you look so sad. What's the matter with you? I was like, oh, bro, like, work's really hard. He was like, leave. I was like, it's not as simple as that. He's like, leave. And the next day, funny enough, I left. But I was like, you know what? I'm happy to leave. And then I went into a better job and many, many better jobs and started creating more of life. And that chapter is all about being the creator of your love, understanding what energy you're putting into your life, and most importantly, your relationship. Because the reason why I believe relationships are a little bit more tricky than jobs and like business is because you do X thing and you get X result with relationship and with business. However, with relationships, it's actually that deeper relationship with yourself, but constantly who you are, how you are. And this is really about becoming the person that you need to be to harvest that relationship, to have that relationship. Because if you do have all these negative thoughts and that you're putting yourself down and you have all this anger and frustration inside your house, just for no reason, then in your relationship, you're also going to have that anger and frustration. And you may tell somebody and push that onto somebody, and they may push it back onto you. And you're going to have arguments and fights, and you're going to say, I'm in a controlling, toxic relationship. But when you really deal with yourself, you really raise your level of consciousness. You start attracting more people just like you. And
Mm-hmm.
automatically, if you know somebody that's not like you and they're going to try put you down, you're not going to meet them again because you're already in that high vibrational place.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the importance of that chapter, actually.
Absolutely. I was thinking like a lot of like sometimes my frustration would come from, I've been diving deep into this,
Yeah.
was a lot at work. Like if I felt overwhelmed or I couldn't keep up, I would get frustrated because I felt like maybe I wasn't good enough to perform at that level or something like
Mm.
that. But I think, yeah, opening up the vulnerability. Oh, this was a really good one. Asking for help
Yes.
was really, really powerful.
How was that for you in life?
Amazing to be able to receive and have a healthy balance between giving and receiving and abundance. And I know you talked a lot about that in this chapter too, about, you know, if you're constantly receiving, the universe that was this, right?
Yeah.
I'm reading a couple books on that.
I think so. I'm going to take it. I'm going to say it is, all right? We're going to say it is right now.
No, it definitely is. But like,
Well,
if you're
I
constantly,
talk about taking, when you take from the universe will take from you. And when you give to the universe will give to you. So I believe you're referring to that part.
yes, it is from this. Yes.
Yeah, good.
So
Okay.
how could we create like a healthy balance within that?
And that's exactly it, right? What you just said there is spot on and beautiful, because when you are, and when you're looking at the lower energies there, which is anything from pride, and I know pride's a bit of a, I don't mean proud. I want to make a clear distinction. I don't mean proud. Like you, it's good to be proud of your achievements, but it's the pride that you have in that I'm the best, I'm the one that's correct, all the way down to shame. Like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. All of these are what I believe I call the eyes. And Tony talks about all suffering comes from separation. And when we look at separation, it all starts with I, right? I am different to you. I am this way, you're not. And when we're highlighting these factors about how I am and you are different, is a divide. When you ask for somebody's help with vulnerability and courage, it's a we. Can you help me
Mhm.
with this? And you form a we. And when you come in together, the separation disappears. And this is actually where suffering disappears. So when we're taking, it's taken from the I. So everything from pride downwards all the way to shame. Even sometimes when you don't know you're doing it, but you're doing it and you're like, oh, I'm just having a lousy day. And like once every while, that's obviously fine. But if you continue doing it, you keep on taking from your friends or the people that you love. It's about going, look, I'm having a bad day. What are some things that worked for you? And I'm going to implement it now. In that way, it's beautiful because you're saying, I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to be vulnerable. And I want to know about what's happening in your life that's good. Rather than saying, life's always bad for me and I never get the guys or I never get the relationships. I saw the I within. So to go back into what you were saying, when we're giving with courage. And then that also means that we can set boundaries with courage as well. When we accept ourselves and accept, look, in relationships, life's good, but in business, I may need some support in this. Can you help me out? And because you're always giving with always that loving energy, they're like, of course.
Mhm.
It's that principle of reciprocity.
Mhm.
Right?
And it's letting go of the control, right? I think that's part of it too. Um, yeah, just the control of the outcome. I think sometimes, like if you're opening up to the uncertainty, or I don't know, I'm thinking of so many
Yeah.
thoughts right now within this.
No,
Um,
100%. Yeah. When you're opening up to uncertainty, to the unknown, that's when you're open up for the blessings and miracles to happen in your life without sounding super spiritual. But, that's when miracles start. That's when all the miracles start coming into life, right? It's because you're open up to the unknown. When you're controlling your circumstance, I'm really glad that you said that. When you're controlling your circumstances in life and saying this pattern or this behavior has worked for me throughout life, I'm going to stick to it and I don't need help or I don't need any more guidance, then you're just limiting yourself and you'll continue to produce the same results. When you step into the unknown, and I'm like, Jen, how you got this amazing group with all these book clubs and that? I need some support. Tell me your tricks. And when you're writing your book, oh, was that a secret? When you're writing your book, you're like, Sunny, tell me some things like, how can I shortcut it? Let's jump on a call together. I'm like, yeah, let's teach you everything that I had to learn. And then in that way, we come together and we form this beautiful community that is of a different level of being. And this way we start creating the life that we want and start creating the love.
Absolutely. And I wanted to say, also like, so he talks about fear and how all pain is caused by the illusion of suffering. And then it has like these I am statements. And it says, I am bad in relationships. I am scared. I am worried. I am too good. And no one wants me. And I think, this could get into like how powerful the I am is. And one of my main, affirmations and one of the main things that I just stand by is I am love.
Oh,
And I'm mentioning that not to be like, oh, I'm love and out of significance, but out of just like what that has brought into my life. And just, like we've been talking about this whole time, just like, who do I have to become to attract what I want? And we talked a little bit off air about how I attracted love into my life. And
Yeah, please share that story. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, I was just saying how, I was at my peak health. I was really working on myself. I would talk to people like Sunny, relationship experts, and just I interviewed a bunch of couples to see the common trend that brought them success in their lives and relationships. And I really just was coming from a place, oh, this is the part that I said that you were laughing about. It was like I wrote my love list. I did, I was really focused on my well-being, contributing, and I was feeling good, and I let it go. And that's when it came in.
And just let it go.
Let it go. I wasn't coming from the lack part of, you talk a lot about abundance in this chapter, and I wasn't like feeling like I couldn't fulfill the things that, like, I didn't need anything. I am love. So why I didn't need love, I am love. And that's when I attracted it.
Wow, and that is so beautiful to hear, like absolutely so beautiful, because you're the living testament of it as well. But it's happened in my life, and I'll share with you just earlier on in the week, just on Monday, I was with a coaching client, and this guy, he said the exact same, right? I pushed him to coverage, and he's starting to coach as well, right? And because he's just emanating love to everyone. In the past, he always struggled with girlfriends and partners, but now they want to meet him. They're asking, "Can we please go for a coffee? I would love to be around you." I was laughing because, like, in the past, he was all shy, he was all scared, but now they're saying, "Please, can I have 1 hour of your time?" Like, it's crazy. Because when you are at that vibration, when you're sharing at that level, it's so beautiful. And what you said was so good a minute ago. When you're coming from, I haven't got it, I haven't got this in my life, you're coming from lack. When you're feeling love and you're creating that surrounding already, then you're already creating love to come into your life. It's just now the right vibration will come through because you're already there. That was the exact same thing for me and wealth. So love was one part of me that was working really well. And I forgot the formula of how I did it. And when I was trying to transition to wealth, I was like, okay, what am I doing with wealth now? And I kept pushing it outside. I was like, I need this for wealth. I need that for wealth. However, when I truly went into that abundance of myself, and here's what I call it my king habits, by the way, my abundant king habits. So I have daily habits that make me abundant. So like drinking 2 liters of water is my king habit. Reading a investment book or reading books, king habits, right? That's it. Doing meditation is a king habit. Remember, like when you're running around at work or doing all these things, you don't have time to meditate. Meditation is for kings, right? And this is the identity that I want to bring in, man. So when I do these king habits, I feel like the king, and now it flows in a lot easier as long as I'm taking the action, as long as I'm doing the work and putting myself out there, then it all flows in. And that's the same for relationships. We'll let it go. However, we have to be open to receive it. That person comes into your life. We have to be open for that to come in.
Can you give us some cool habits that people could have, like you said, the king habits, to maybe attract in love? Like, what would that look like?
So maybe you can help me with some queen habits.
Yeah.
And I'll do some king habits, right? So for me, one of my king habits is working out and lifting weights, because when you're working out, my body's in a better place. I feel good in my mind. Drinking 2 liters at least of water a day. Another king habit is reading. I love to read and grow. It's one of my favorite things ever. Reading about investments, right? That's a king habit for me. And then also treating people with respect is a king habit, as well as treating myself with respect. There are some of them. And then affirmations are a very powerful king habit for how I maintain how I am. And there's some of them. And then I would love for you to jump in with some queen ones, and I'm happy to share some queen ones as well.
Yeah. I think for me, obviously, I'm very big on morning routine. Just starting your day off with gratitude and meditation, and just setting yourself up for success. I journal every day. 3 to Thrive.
Yeah.
Drinking water and reading is huge. That's just like simple little things. But also, I think is being within like do like living my life. Like, I don't know how to explain it really, but just not
You mean on
like
your terms, or do you
yeah,
mean in your how you want to?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a ton. That means I'm a queen. Woohoo!
Yeah. And most importantly, actually, the reason why it's one of the most important things is to link it to your habits that you're already doing. Because some that you're already doing really well. Some, yeah, we can improve. We can make sure we're dressing up or working out or reading to better ourselves, talking with beautiful intent, talking with love, being that person. By actually linking it, takes away that imposter syndrome. Because some of my clients were coming from a place where they felt like there was an imposter. Okay. And I talk about this in chapter 12. It's about becoming. In that, what I talk about is your integrity. What's important to you in a relationship? What are the values? What are the key things? Integrity, loyalty. Then live by that. Live by that loyalty. So you notice whenever you're loyal, I'm loyal because I'm always there for my friends.
Mhm.
And also share that. Because the more you share it, the more you bring in these people. One of the things that was stopping a lot of my clients, they were doing it and I can see that they were, but when it came down to sharing it with their potential partner or the partner, they wasn't sharing it. So the other person couldn't read their mind. And what would happen is they were attracting not as much the right people. So when you share, like, I've done work on myself, when you share I'm loyal, when you share I have integrity, when you share about your king habits or your queen habits, you're going to bring in the best value of person that comes into your life.
Mhm. And Oprah just popped into my head. I don't know why. Because I just remember her, I love her and I listen to her often. But one of the things she said that really stuck with me forever is when people tell you who they are, believe them. And if you listen, if you really truly listen, which sometimes it's challenging for people, but you
100%.
could totally hear who someone is. They'll tell you who they are. Mhm.
It's crazy, especially when you get to our world as well, right? With personal development and all the work that we do, and especially coaching. And when I coach clients, it's sometimes scary when you can hear so clearly. And then it's scary when they don't always want help and someone that you
Yeah.
love. And then in that, sometimes I do like the Ho'oponopono. I'll do like
Yes.
forgiveness and love and just send that love because
I
they don't
love
know
you. I'm
that.
sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Right?
Yeah, sometimes I do that, like especially when they're sharing. And I read the book on that, and the book really explained about how when you clear the energy, it's just from Dr. Lem, when you clear the energy of the people around you, it's actually a gift that you're doing for them. And partly I felt better because of it as well. So it's one of them two things.
Yeah. Anthony, it was from that video this morning. It was Oprah's speech to a group of college students, and how when she first started off on TV, and she's using this platform to promote good and use it,
Yeah.
to spread love and light. And it was funny when she first started and landed her gig, they wanted to change her name to Susie. And they told her she didn't, back then they could tell her that they didn't like the way she looked,
Mm,
and um, it was just she overcame all of that to use not let TV use her, but to use TV for a better purpose.
yeah.
Um,
So powerful, right? The way that she created her life is so
mhm.
powerful. And through all adversity, through all problems, the way that she created it afterwards. And it's just an incredible thing that we can all do. We all have that ability to create more of our life through our problems before.
Mhm. And I wanted to ask you, because I filled out the questions here, and I wanted to ask you what inspired you to have us reflect on that. So the questions that he asked were, and you could all ask yourself, maybe answer in the chat. What level of energy do you want to be? And I wrote 540, peak and top best self. And one of my intentions is to vibrate and show up as my highest potential, right? That's something I always like to say to myself. Like, I want to be my best at my potential. And it says, and maybe you could help me through this one. It says, what level of energy are you currently? And I wrote waves, because as much as I'd like to say I'm always at a 540, and I'm literally listening to high vibrational binaural beats right now, and
I can hear them in the background. They're beautiful, right?
I try to do everything, but there are times where I'm not at that. And is that normal? Is that okay? Like, how can I feel on that?
So the way I like to look at it is actually where your emotional home is. So where are you vibrating at most of the time, right? So if you're sitting in anger and sometimes you go to love, then you're still going to cause a lot of problems in your life. But if most of the time you're sitting in love, and I love what you just said about the binaural beats, because that does create that loving high vibration energy, and having a safe place creates that loving energy. Doing affirmations, journaling, connecting with yourself, listening to beautiful music, and doing work that serves others, or even just loving what you do. It doesn't even need to serve others, just love what you do. That's the most important thing. Then you're vibrating more like that. And if you were to hang around with people that were more like courage or argumentative, whatever, you could be there for a bit. And maybe you do go down a little bit, and it's cool. That's all right. It happens for humans. But where are you at most of the time? And that's going to be the thing that creates how you are.
Beautiful.
Especially in relationships, right?
And
then what did you do for letting go? Or yeah, please explain.
What did you say?
What did you do for the next question? What did you say?
So it says, what do you need to do? What you need to let go of to move on to higher energy? And I think this is something that I mentioned earlier, is just use the tools that I've learned. You know, when you know better, you do better. And I just wrote, use the tools I know to soar.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and just set that intention. And if there is something that I'm not quite in alignment with, maybe just not partaking in it, or just observing it, be a silent observer and just sit back and not participate in it. I do that all the time.
Well, it was a big decision for me in the past, was to leave some groups that wasn't serving me. Like, I don't watch the news, right? And some of my friendship groups, they were gossiping and all this kind of thing, right? They were talking about other people and all them kind of things. And I had to make a decision, a conscious decision, to say, look, I'm out of this group. Because I was sitting as a passenger for a bit, and I was like, you know what, I'm out of this group, because I didn't want to be a part of it. And some part of me was like, the social proof, the validation was saying, should I get involved as well? And should I add a little bit in? But it wasn't actually who I am. It's not how I want to be or live, and definitely how I want to be for the future and be now. So I had to consciously leave them groups, because I was like, it's not going to serve me to wherever I want to get to. And Neil, I love how you said that you're at the level of acceptance. And Jen, at that level of acceptance, I want to ask you actually, because I'm sure that you would have climbed that ladder as well. What kind of habits do you think would create that level of acceptance, or kind of things that you do? How would you be in the world when you're at that level of acceptance?
Can you give me one example, and then I'll add to it?
Okay, good. Yeah. So acceptance, I believe, could be when we're looking at maybe opening up about ourselves, accepting what's happened in the past. You could talk about past relationships. And when you're at that level of acceptance, you don't get hurt by it. You know, you're like, this is what happened in the past. This was who I used to be, but this is who I am now. Okay.
Well, that's great that you mentioned that. So I was talking yesterday about this, just about like how throughout my life, I think I've always dealt with things in the tenacity way of just like being strong, and not always, but I'm just saying, like, and sometimes maybe pushing things down.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I realized within the past year, like doing certain work and showing up in certain ways, that some things were coming back up. And I think I've healed through a lot of it. You know, when you're able to talk about something and it doesn't make you cry anymore, or you're just, you realize, and this is such a beautiful thing, and I feel sometimes bad saying it to people who are currently struggling, when I say your pain's your gift, or when
Yeah.
I say things like, you're going to see a year from now how this serves your life in such a beautiful way, and it makes you, so much more of a loving person, and such, you just have a different emotional intelligence about it. It's hard for me to say that sometimes, but I really believe that. Um, and I
I'm
think
also
that's the acceptance of just realizing, like, wow, like all those things have made me me, and made me be so resilient and strong and loving, more loving.
I love the way you say that, because it has added to the cocktail of you, and also through my life. That was exactly how I got through. Right. The reason why I became a relationship coach or a love coach was because of the difficulties I was having with my wife, and all relationships around me were all going really bad. They're all in a really negative place and really hurtful place. But that led me to my destination of first going to Tony, first working on myself, then developing even more and creating beautiful relationships. And
Mhm.
then because of that, now I can look back, and that's what you're saying there from that greater perspective. And for people that are going through suffering, I 100% agree with you. It sounds hard, but when you do look back in the future, when you get through this, when you take action and you create and you build up your character and who you are through this, it would transform you in this beautiful life. And then you can look back and be like, oh, that was a fun lesson or a fun thing.
Mhm. And it also sometimes, it shows you how to take more responsibility of the life that you're creating. I think for me, it was like, okay, like this is where I was at then. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's not good or bad, but this is what I was attracting in my life. And maybe it wasn't serving me at my highest level. And it shows to prove to me an example of like how I can improve, and maybe showing up better, showing up at a higher vibration, showing up more loving, showing up giving what I want to receive, because I was attracting what I was at that point in my life.
And that's so hard to say, and so beautifully said. It goes so well with how you are, but it's so true. What we were attracting, and same with me, I was attracting so much pain and so much struggle in my life because that's what I thought life was. I just go a little bit onto wealth as well, right? I remember in recent years, I had a wealth coach, absolutely such an amazing woman. And she goes to me, Sonny, why are you making life hard? I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, when did you decide life has to be hard? And that was a blueprint I had. And I know I was growing up with that. Say like you have to work hard. Life has to be a challenge. For you to earn, you have to be pushing yourself to the max. And that was a belief that I really had deep inside of me. So it was creating more resistance when I was doing business and creating more of my life. I was thinking, where's the hardness? Where's the challenge? And then when she said that to me, I really went deeper. I let go of it and started understanding life a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, really shows up in a different way. It really helps. It's same for relationships. When we have a belief that relationships are hard, or we have a belief that relationships are painful, these beliefs aren't serving us, right? Breaking free from them self-limiting beliefs, changing your self-talk, yeah. And then taking action with that strong belief, taking out massive action from that strong belief.
Mm-hmm.
And like me and Jen were saying earlier, feeling like you already have it beforehand, feeling it initially,
Mm.
feeling, you know what, this is what I have, it's mine already. Keeping them thoughts, taking action, and then
Mm-hmm.
just knowing that there, even if the result isn't quite how you want it to be, it's actually a lesson in that. I need to grow more, I need to learn more, I need to develop more. And on that
Mm-hmm.
journey, we create.
And learning, it just reminds me of Think and Grow Rich. I just finished like a fourth round of it in one of my book clubs, and it's just like when you attach the intention and what you want with that strong feeling, it doesn't, I love that you're bringing into wealth, because that's actually one of the topics that I'm going to dive into next with a group. So I'm really
Nice.
excited about. And I listened to recently Jen Sincero, who's one of the people I love. She wrote You Are a Badass.
Oh yes, you were like the
Yeah,
main publicist. I love.
whatever.
I saw it everywhere after I saw it on yours.
Mhm. But she just did an interview with Lewis Howes, and she was talking about how her relationship with money was why she felt held back before she really created abundance, and didn't think that people with private jets were aliens and it was out of her reach. It boiled down to her relationship with her father and how he showed his love to her, and he would give her $100 bills to show his love. And then, to the point where even after her wealth, that was still his way. And she let him give him give her those $100. Who doesn't like getting $100 gifts?
Yeah.
But it was beautiful to hear that that was the thing. Because I think sometimes we could talk about this for hours, but we're afraid sometimes to change. And this could be within limiting beliefs about money, about love, because sometimes even the people closest to us, our family, our closest friends, might be scared of that change and think that we'll be withdrawing that love from them. So that was her own limiting belief around creating wealth for herself when she really dug down, was that her father wouldn't feel that he could provide her the love that he knew how.
Wow.
Which is really
And
interesting.
it's crazy how that's a big block that's ruining the relationship with money. And it is fascinating when you really go deeper to understand where these beliefs are stopping you. And this is the power of a good group, actually, the power of the proximity of the people that you're around. Because say if you were to say, oh, no, I can't attract money, someone else could say to you, of course you can. Why can't you? And then they'll be like, oh, because I never thought I could. Well, now we'll start installing new beliefs and start taking the right actions to see where can it get you to, what can it lead to. And that's the power of that actual group that you have around you. Because when you're stuck in one environment growing up, like for instance, if your family loved cakes and every day they'll feed you cakes, I was with my mum the other day and she fed me a cake and she was like, Sonny, you used to love cakes as a kid. I used to be a right little chubby boy. And she was like, you love them. I was thinking, if I had diabetes, it would be your fault, all right? But then I was thinking, but would the doctor say it was hereditary? I didn't know the difference, right? Because maybe hereditary is just the habits that are passed down from your ancestors.
Absolutely.
And now you believe them habits to be true without questioning them. And then as you don't question them, you just believe this is normal. Same with wealth. If we have ancestors that struggled with wealth and these habits and beliefs are so deep rooted that we're kind of cleansing the understanding of this. And this is why doing your personal work, this is why being around great people like you and being in these kind of social groups are so important. Because when you start changing your beliefs and your environment, you start to create what they're creating. You start becoming part of that. And it's a beautiful journey, an incredible journey.
Incredibly powerful. Yeah. And I just wanted to say the last question was, if you put a higher level of energy into life, friends, health, relationships, business, what level of results would you get? And my mantra of the year is creating the life of my wildest dreams. And the reason why I picked wildest is a connection to my main goal. My overall goal is to just be a wildlife advocate. It's just, but creating a life of my wildest dreams. And I also have, on my relationship vision board, it's creating the life that we love. It's not all about me either.
That's absolutely beautiful. Because when you put that energy of love into relationships and even just coming onto the podcast of being around family, when you put that energy of love into each minute of that day of how you're going to be, it's just going to be a sensational life. And it doesn't matter about what anyone else thinks because it's you that's living it. That was one of the barriers I had to overcome. And I know we're running low on time now, but that was one of the barriers that was massive. It's not about what other people want from your life. It's what's going to fulfill you in this life. Like you generally and genuinely, you are the creator of this life. Other people like to put their inputs in, but you are that creator. So what do you love? How do you love? How do you want to love? How do you want to create love? What do you tolerate in that relationship? What do you want in that relationship? Who are you? How do you want life to be? And the more and more you emanate in that love, I believe that you become the magnet of what you want.
Beautiful. And just to finish up, we originally planned to talk about chapter 6 and 7. So we really stuck with chapter 6 because it was just so powerful. And I know that all of the chapters, as you read on, are incredible. But if you just want to talk briefly, we literally are on an hour currently, but I did kind of see within chapter 7, if you just want to say your biggest takeaway, your biggest note. I did see that maybe there was a little bit of, kind of like the Dickens, where you see what does this cost you in your life previously, and how that, if there's anything you want to share within that chapter, if you have another minute.
Oh, so not the keys to the relationship. Are you looking at a different one? Are you?
I was just thinking the end, like in the questions that you asked, like the task. I would like to write down which one was your previous 2 primary keys.
Yes, 100%. Because in that, the 2 keys, which was so powerful, it's actually understanding how is it costing your life by leading with these keys. And what I look at is these 6 keys within a relationship that drive the relationship. And when I was in a relationship with my ex-partner, when we was both using the same keys, which was more of like uncertainty and no love, right? When we was using them keys, the relationship was beautiful. But when the keys changed and she started to go to more certain patterns of behavior, and she also went to more significance and feeling special within the relationship, when she was using them keys, it was disrupting the relationship because of her environment change. I'm not saying I wasn't to fault. I was completely to fault. I wasn't taking no accountability for the relationship. That's why it ended. But the 2 keys that you're using is going to dictate how your relationships will be in the future. So if you are looking for just a relationship that's based on security and then love afterwards, it's a completely different relationship to if you're looking for spontaneous love and then growth within a relationship. It's completely different life, and who you will attract will be completely different. If you don't want to attract somebody that's controlling, then you need to use more of the key of spontaneousness. It would just deter that person from coming into your life. When we're using that key of security and I need everything to be a certain pattern, habitual patterns of behavior, then that could lead to people more controlling into your life because they will also like the thing that you like. And when you're drawn to that, it really affects you. And in that process, I do definitely write about what's it costing you by having the wrong keys. Because I know in my life it cost me significantly by having the wrong keys, relationships, love, and issues with myself as well, until I started opening up more.
Beautiful. Is there anything else that you want to share how we could find your book? I'm going to post the US link to receive the book.
Yeah, so it's out on Amazon in the UK, US, Australia as well. It's out all over on Amazon, and I've had so many great reviews and great feedback from it, so I'm really happy. I do actually have a scanned part at the back there where you can join a singles group for free. And also I do link it to some meditations that I've made, right?
Cool.
So when you scan that, it will link you to a meditation on masculine and feminine energy to allow you to get back into your core. It also links you to like an affirmation one that I've made. So that will help people feel that level of love within them and allow you to really go on a subconscious as well as a conscious level of growth and throughout your journey.
Gorgeous.
Also, if you have any questions, do message me and I'm happy to respond and connect with you.
Beautiful. So aside from the book, do you still have space for private coaching or relationship coaching?
Yeah, so right now I'm very limited on my one-to-one coaching, but I'm going to be running a program quite soon. Within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to get a program started again, just because timing-wise with my one-to-ones, I don't have enough space for it. But I will be doing a group.
Awesome. Figure that much. All right. Well, I just want to thank you for sharing this knowledge and just being a good friend and being a light in the world and diving in with me was really, really awesome. And I can't wait to really you read it, but just to, you read a million books, but if you don't apply them, what use do they have? So
Well,
yeah,
thank
it's
you so
all,
much
it's
for
a
having me on as
process.
well. Yeah, and even diving deep and doing all them notes and really enjoying it and going through the process of it. So I really appreciate you and thank you for bringing me on. And thank you everyone else for the questions and being part of this. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Love you guys. My honey was on Havoc.
Uh-huh.
Oh, thank you. It was great having
Oh,
you, and we'll see you real soon. Bye,
see
son.
you soon. Bye.